Hello everybody. Anybody's watching? Okay. Hi everyone. Let's see what we got here. I'm hoping to see your chats. So if you're with me, hang on. I don't know. I haven't done this, I'm a little rusty. I've only done lives a few times before. So if you are with me, hang on and let me get to the place where I can see your chats. Okay, let's see. Well, hi everybody. Hi. Say something in chat so I know you can hear me. There we go. Okay, well, I am excited about this today. Okay, good. Okay, there is a little delay. What I'm going to do right now is warm up. I always like to kind of warm up and make sure I have the right colors that I want for my painting. So what I'm going to do now is I have my rough outline of the flower. What I'm going to do is choose my colors. And this is actually what I'm using here. This is actually a gouache. So this is Winsor & Newton's Gouache Opera Rose. And I put a lot of water in here. So it is a little thin, as you can see. Sometimes gouache can be really thick. As you'll see in the white, what I have right next to it is definitely thicker right now. But let's see. The thing with gouache is that it's opaque, so you can't see your paper through it as much as you can with regular watercolor. So there's gouache, okay, and that's what I'm going to be using for the petals, but I'm going to use just a really light touch. Basically, it's called charging, and I really like it for the center of the petal where it kind of fades out right next to the stamen, the yellow part. So I'm going to be doing it for that. Now here is Opera Rose watercolor. Okay, you can kind of see the difference on my palette. There's watercolor. So that's the difference. It's definitely not as bright, and it doesn't, you can see the paper through it. Like that's going pretty thick, and you could still see it's not as bright as the gouache. So what I'll do is do watercolor, right? The regular watercolor for the petals, basically for my base layer, and you can see how nicely it lifts up. That's a really pretty pink there. And then I can dab the gouache there, and that's really pretty too. So once I have my base coat here, and while it's still damp, I can take a touch of the gouache and I'm going to put it right down at the edge. It's not quite wet enough. And then it will, you can see it's kind of flowing out into the petal. So that's the effect I'm going to try to get. And I'm also going to use a little quinacridone red. Yeah, it's going to be quinacridone red, which is going to be kind of nice to get a deep, rich color. Actually, quinacridone red is a little orange, so you could see that's going to maybe turn it a little too brown. So I think maybe I'll go with the Lazarian Crimson, which, let's see which color I like better. You never really know. Yeah, they're so similar. I'm going to think about that. Maybe I'll do like a violet. See, this is why I like to do little test spots. Yeah, I'm going to do, I have, let's see, it is, what color is that? It's a violety purple. In fact, I think that might be what it's called, purple violet or something. I think I'm going to be using that one instead of the quinacridone because that got a little too brown. I did do what you saw in the picture, the thumbnail. Here is my original painting. Here we go. And this was kind of playing around. You could see that actually is probably where I did the quinacridone red. It's a little brown right there. So anyway, so this time just going to play around. Here we are. Let's get started. I have my little test piece right here so I can also see how it dries, what it's going to look like. So I have that close by if I want to kind of test and try a color. Oh, if anybody's there, I'd love for you to say hi. Okay. I'm not going to worry about the edges because I'm most likely going to be covering them up. I think what I will do though, maybe just lighten the edges a little bit with my kneaded eraser. But most likely once the water hits them and all the paint, they'll be gone. So, all right, now my water is a little pink from trying all that out, so you'll be able to see it. What I'm going to do now is wet on wet. And this is kind of nice because the water, like I said, the water is a little pink so you can see it on camera. I'm just going to wet the entire flower, the whole petal except for the center here. I'm not going to get anything there. Not going to put any water there. And then I always have a tissue in my hand for blotting. If I want to blot quickly, I need to take, kind of pick something up super quick. Okay, adding a little more water, just making sure the water's kind of even. And I'm going to do what I said earlier. I'm actually going to do the Opera Rose watercolor first. And when I apply it, I'm going to kind of go and make little streaks like that, just because that's kind of how the little veins and the creases in the flower, in the petals, that's how they look anyway. So, and the brush I'm using is kind of it's called a Cosmo Top Spin. It's Da Vinci's. It's a fantastic brush for painting petals. Here we go. Okay, and now I have my painting or my paper on a board, so I'm just kind of gonna tilt it a little bit. I'll zoom in a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's great. Then, before it gets too dry, I'm going to pick up the edges a little bit. Pick up some paint. Now you always forget, you have to remember that watercolor, it dries about 50% lighter. So if you have something and you're like, oh my gosh, that's going to be way too dark, actually, just give it a little time. This actually kind of goes into this flower, so I'm going to just do that. Improvise here a little bit. I kind of like that. Okay, so it dries about 50% lighter, so definitely don't panic if something looks too dark. Just you can always pick it up. That's the thing with watercolor. I think it's actually a little easier than colored pencils in some ways, because you really can erase and pick up pick up the paint, pick up the pigment, any mistakes that you did. So now the fun part, now while it's kind of a nice dampness, wetness where I want it, I'm going to pick a little bit of the gouache Opera Rose, and I'm going to go around and just hit the edges here and just let it fan out. I'm going to try to let it fan out per petal. So just let it do its thing on that petal, let it do its thing on that petal, and let it do its thing on that petal. Then another big secret of watercolor is to leave it, let it dry. There you go. Patience. Patience is a virtue, right? And when you don't have patience, look what I got. You have a blow dryer. Woohoo! Right? This is a handheld little craft blow dryer that you can use too if you don't have patience, like myself. But what you usually want to do is to let it dry naturally, because then I don't want it to dry too fast, because I want it to spider out and create the beautiful little veins and that sort of thing that are natural, look natural in the painting. So that's our underpainting. Basically, I'm going to leave that. So I'm going to go to another part and another part of the flower. Sorry if it's not, I have so much light going on here. I don't know why it looks so dark. It is a bit of an overcast day, so maybe that's it. Okay, so now I'm going into, and I'm going to use the pink water again so you can see. Now this flower is a little bit, it seems to be a little bit more in the distance. So I'm going to make this one, I think, really loose, very light, just like more of a suggestion of a flower. And so that means I'm going to probably use a lot of water and a lot of pigment and tissue just to mop it up, like dab it and then mop it up. And there you go, just going very light. Enjoy this. Wet on wet is great for beginners because it's forgiving, I think, because if you don't like it, you can just, let's see, there you go, mop it right up. Mop it right up, and then you could say add a little water there, and then you can pick up water, get your brush a little dry, maybe blot it with the tissue like that, and then you can just pick up water like that. It's really just about playing, and this is cold pressed watercolor paper, so Arches cold pressed watercolor paper. I may do again a couple more little strokes just to get a little bit of white, get the folds, get the veins in there. Now this time, this has a really cool, I love the orangey kind of effect that is at the bottom here, the transition. I'm sorry if you don't have, I probably should have put, note for next live, I should have put the either reference photo or my original painting up so you could see. Note to self for next time, I will do that next time. What I'm gonna do is I really actually like that little, there's a little crimson orangey color. So what I'm gonna do is mix a little red. I am gonna go and use that quinacridone red. And I'm gonna, what this is called is charging. You get, you know, basically pure pigment on there, and then you dab it, you put it right on there. And that's it. That's called charging. And then look at the beautiful spidery veiny look there. And then that's it for now. I'm going to leave that one. Just let that sit. And we'll go to this guy. So we'll basically kind of just keep going around. So when this one, by the time I get back to this one, it'll have been dried enough where I can get the second layers on there. So here we go. Anybody have any questions, or anybody want to let me know you're here in chat? No? Okay. That'd be great just to say hello. I'm just going to keep talking then. Let me know if you're working on anything or what's on your easel or your drawing table today. And now I've just put the water right here. I didn't go too close to that. Actually, I kind of did, but hopefully the water won't impede too much on this petal right here. We'll see. We'll see what happens, right? And this one is really, this one is a lot lighter. It's almost white. So with this one, I wanted to show you, and now I have a separate glass of water over here. I can show you with, whoops, I can't see that live actually, never mind. I have another glass of water here that I'm using, and it's just water, it's just pure water, so I can kind of rinse my brush off. What I'm going to do is now I'm getting into the white gouache, now that I have a clean brush, and I'm going to put it, I'll put it right here. Okay. And I really like this light pink color. Now I'm going to bring it down here and add it to my, this is my Opera Rose watercolor, and it's already wet. It's already wet, so what I'm going to do is just do, now this is gouache, so it's going to be more opaque, but since the paper is pretty wet, there we go. I'm just going to leave that on there. Then I'm going to go and pick up again. Create somewhat of a definition. I'm going to get some Opera Rose watercolor. Do a little charging here. And actually, this purple violet over here would be really nice for this one. I'm just going to kind of add it to a little gouache. Create some petals. I'm just going to get a little definition here. If anybody has any questions or anything, please go ahead and ask me in the chat. There. Okay. Here we go. All right. Okay. Now let's let that guy dry. I'm probably gonna put another petal. You know, I think I will. I'm putting down water. I kind of like that he's got like one petal here that's distant from the others, but it's really, whoops, I got a little red on my brush. Just gonna pick that up. But it's really light. It's like a light purple there. So what I'm gonna do is have some water on there, grab a touch of gouache, the white gouache, and I'm gonna just add a little bit to it. The gouache doesn't move, doesn't flow as much with the wet on wet technique as much as watercolor. Watercolor, you put it down and it just like branches out. It's beautiful. But the gouache just kind of sits. Just kind of sits there. So it can be a little challenging. It's not really, a lot of artists don't really use it for this, you know, a loose watercolor technique like this. Kind of use it for more detailed. So there. It's kind of cool. I like that. I like what's happening there. And then I may create a little more definition. And just go boom. Just like that. I kind of had trouble with this one when I was playing around with it. So I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm just gonna pick that up. There. All right. I'm gonna leave that alone. Let's go back to this one. Sure, I'm in camera here. And see how fun that spread. Isn't that cool? This one is beautiful. I love how that one spread out. The gouache, like I said, that doesn't spread out. It does, but not as much as the watercolor paint does. So the gouache, it's pretty, not as much, but that's okay because when you look at the reference photo, it's pretty prevalent. It's pretty strong there. So, yeah. Okay. I'm going to change brushes now. I'm going to go with, now that I have my base layers on and I don't need such a big brush, I'm going to be using, I'm really liking the Princeton Round 6. It's really a great brush. It's a kind of a universal brush. You can do so much with a round brush. And this Princeton one, it's, they say it has good snap, right? And it holds the point too. So you can do lots of different brush strokes with this brush. So I'm going to get a little more detail now. I am going to do a little more white gouache with the regular Opera Rose watercolor. And I am adding quite a bit of water, so I have kind of this pretty pink, but I'm going to add a lot of water. Actually, I think I'm going to add this purple I have over here too. It's a really strong pigment, so I'm just going to do a little bit in the little area. I think that will help blend the center and the petals. Just having a kind of a middle value. And then for this, I like to just kind of practice a little flow. What I do, there we go. See, when you hold the brush almost straight up and down, you can get somewhat of a point, hardly touching it. There's that brush. I do have a another brush. It's really thin for the really fine points, but that's a little too much because I want a little more coverage. I'll use that one for my fine detail. So I just wanted to show you the process of choosing your brush. A lot of this stuff does take time. Figuring out what you want to use. Okay, so here, this is going to be basically wet on dry, but what I'm going to do is wet it after, and I'm just going to kind of get the outlines, and then I'm going to use, I'm going to do some water to soften them up. So we'll see what this looks like. I kind of like this look of we're just accentuating. And this one actually has the peaks there. Adding just a little more violet. Okay. This guy kind of got lost. And then this one, let's do that. There. Now this is going to dry about 50% lighter. Then what I'm going to do is go right over it with water. And blend it in. This side could be a little more darker. I'm going to add a little water there. I kind of like the definition of the lines, and then but have them faded a little bit. And I'm just trying to get these rigid edges that these guys have. So there. Now what I'm going to do is actually do a little charging with white gouache. This petal is actually going this way, but I did the line that way, so now I have to kind of stick to it. What I'm really just trying to do again is get some definition of the petal. And I'm playing. I'm just having fun. I'm relaxing. It's Sunday, right? I'm just hanging around. And I thought, well, I want to get this flower drawn, and I thought it would be fun to go live. So thanks for joining me. Okay, what I'm going to do now while that dries, I know it probably looks like a hot mess right now, but you know what? It actually, once it dries and I get a little bit more definition on there, it'll look okay, in my opinion. Let's get the center in there now. I'm going to add some cadmium yellow first. Okay, cadmium yellow is pretty strong. Good base layer for the first layer. I'm going to add a touch of cadmium orange to it. Here we go. Then for some contrast, let's just go crazy and do a little, let's see, what do I have? A little trans red oxide. Red oxide is such a cool color, especially with yellows. And this will kind of tone it down a little bit, and the pinks and all that. And that's okay if it runs. We'll just let it run. We'll just let it run. If we don't want it to run too much, I'm just going to pick it up and let it run the other way. Kind of looks cool. Again, you can see how this is the gouache, and the gouache reacts so differently to, there we go, get it running a little bit. And I don't really want any white in there, so, or white of the paper, so I just picked that up. All right. We'll let that dry, and then this guy's fun. This guy's doing good. Let's add the green to this guy. I'm gonna do, so he's got the base of the bud. I'm gonna get that in there, and I'm going to use, I've got this cool green gold from Winsor & Newton. I mean, you can make all your own colors, but sometimes it's just fun to experiment. Now, mixed with the pink, it's getting kind of dark. So what I'm going to do is add a yellow. And this is Hansa yellow, which is a really pretty yellow, really bright, happy yellow. So let's take this yellow. See how that turned brown? That was a green gold, and it turned brown because I put it over that orangey red. So what I'm gonna do, just pick it right up. Now it's still wet, which is perfect. It's like a damp color, so I'm just gonna do yellow. And then what I'll do is put a little green in there. Let it dry a little bit, put a little green in there, and that'll look pretty. So now that has to dry. While that's drying, I could do, I could use my small brush, grab that purpley violet, and I'm gonna get it pretty wet, and just do some of the veins. Just get a little definition. Actually, I think what I'll do is put some of this purpley violet right there. And then I can do that. Let's see, this definition, we need definition of this. There we go. Of this petal, and then he comes around over here. And let's see. There. Purposely did that. Now I'm going to go over it with water. There. And we can get some water here on the edges. See how nicely that's bleeding in there? Gotta love watercolors. You just never know what's going to happen. You just never know. Alright, now we gotta get some definition for this guy over here. So let me just do that, do that. And, okay. Alright, wet it up. I really like this for a detail brush. I was kind of having a hard time finding a small brush that I like that can like hold pigment. And not sponsored by them or anything, but this Winsor Newton Series 7 0. It's the only watercolor brush that like holds the point so you can get fine detail. What I'm gonna do here, I don't wanna use my the tiny brush here to loosen that up. There. Had a little orange on it. When you use oranges, really complement pinks and purples. So that's why this little red orange looks so good there in the middle. So I'm just gonna let that dry. Kind of like how that turned out. There, that looks a little better. Okay. Is anybody with me still? All right. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Let's make something out of this blob, huh? Okay, we'll get the, what do we got here? I'm probably going to use some white, some gouache here, just to get some kind of outline of the petals. So, add a little bit. Get like a purpley pink, really light gouache. Okay. There we go. Yeah, I think it's going to be mostly white for now because I think when I blend it, it'll look good. It'll kind of all blend in together. So I'm going to get definition. What I'm doing now is just trying to find these petals. So this is going to be that one. This is going to be where the stem is. So let's make this petal like right here. And the cool thing about this is that this petal over here, you can kind of see through. That's the kind of my challenge when I'm doing painting or even drawing flowers, is seeing the shadow of the petal, the overlapping petal. I think that's the coolest thing to capture. Okay, I'm just going to leave that. And maybe tilt it a little bit so I get like an edge of white, watercolor, or the gouache white. That's really all we kind of needed, was this edge just to get some kind of definition. And then this over here, I don't know about that. Okay. Then let's go. I'm getting purple, the purple pink little mixture. Okay. You guys see it okay? Show you. Is it up high? There we go. I'm really bummed about the lighting. I don't know what's going on. Must be a setting. Okay, because it's not that dark. For me. Then this is pretty dark over here, so I'm gonna kind of just get a really dark, this purple pink, and I'll put the name. I already did do some names in the description of the colors I used, but this, what is it called? Actually, Quadrito Magenta. Oh, I think it's quinacridone purple. That's what it is. Something else called purple pink. So this is quinacridone purple, which makes sense. It looks, because that's why it's a strong pigment. The quinacridones are really strong pigments. Strong meaning they're not opaque strong. They're just like, you don't need very much. You need a tiny little bit. Okay. All right, and then this is still pretty wet. I'm gonna just let it starting to seep into there, so I'm gonna just leave it for right now. I think this guy right here, actually let's go back to this one because this is still a little damp. This pink, that's a little too pink, huh? Let's tone it down a little bit. You know what works really well to tone down pinks is neutral tint. Kind of to tone down any watercolor. But if it's getting a little too pink, I usually go for my neutral tint, which is, it's like a purpley gray, and that knocks it back big time. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of just go right over it and mix a little bit of that quinacridone purple. And I don't know if you can see what I'm doing over here. I think what I'll do it up here so you can see. Let me do it. Let me get rid of this red. I'm not using that red. Get rid of some of this purple. There we go. Okay. Now we got a nice clean spot. Okay, here's my, whoops, no, that's a quinacridone purple. And here's my neutral tint. Yeah. So, I'm gonna add a touch of quinacridone purple. That's a lot darker. But it's so pink underneath. I think I might be fine. I can always lighten it up. So what I'm gonna do, and this is good. If you don't like it, you don't like what's going on, okay, we can fix it, we can change it. Let's not panic, right? Let's not throw it away. Don't ever throw it away. I'm kind of picking this up as I'm making it wet, picking it up, and I kind of want it to spread out anyway, so. And this will fan out because it's not gouache. So this is just going to be watercolor. Okay. So second layer, let's see what happens, right? That's why we got 3 flowers. One of them should turn out okay. All right, so just gonna go with the charging here. And I'm gonna kind of give it a direction to go so I can get some definition of these petals. There we go. Adding a little pink, the opera rose. Added just a little bit, just for a little changing color so it's not all the same color. A little variation. Okay. Good. Now let's go to this guy and do the green on there. And he's probably almost done after I do finish up the green there. So I'm going to go back to my go back to my smaller brush, and I'm going to try the I'm going to use the permanent sap green for right now to see what we can get from that. So we've got like a little pointy thing here. And I need to tone that down a little bit. got a pointy thing here. Yeah, me, my technical terms. And let's go with another pointy thing here. A leaf. And they're rounded, so definitely want to get that round part of them. And, oh, I went into the forest green. Don't want to go into the forest. Actually, I kind of like that green. I'm mixing a little forest with my, oh no wait, Hooker's green. I've got Hooker's green in there too. Okay, so here we go. That guy. And let's get a little spindly one. All right, cool. Then what I'm going to do is grab some yellow. I don't want to get too greeny. Grabbing a little yellow, adding a little green to my yellow. And then I'm going to make the stem there. And let's see. The stem I have here, which one? This one's going to go that way, so this one will go down here. There we go. Let's just do that. There's a big difference when you have the stem in there, huh? Then let's get a little bit more color on the stem. Nice. A little more color. Okay. Don't want it all one color. No, no, no. No, no, no. Okay. And then some of them have like little spindly things. Some more spindly things. So let's do a spindly thing here. And I'm gonna mix a touch of you need a little contrast in green, so I think I'm gonna mix a touch of just kind of do this brown. This is brown madder. Kind of gives it a rustic look, but any brown will do. I mean, just a touch for the edges, and while it's still pretty wet, so it just blends right in. And then I'm going to do a touch there. Okay, now one more thing here. I want a little highlight here. I want like a little, it's all too much one color green, so I want a little highlight. I don't know if I'll get it. I may have to do it after, so I'll leave it like that, and I'll plan to put a little highlight there after, probably with the gouache. And these things, let's see, the stems are pretty straight. What? There, I actually like that better. Okay. Oh, I hope that was on camera. Sorry about that. Alright, so we've got one that's probably pretty much done. Easy. That was like, what, 2 layers? And I'm going to go in after and just do a couple of highlights in here. Maybe charge it with a little yellow and call that one done. This guy is kind of a fun, really loose style. I think it's time we get this green in. So this took a while to dry, this white, but that's okay. That's okay. I can get the green right here. Yeah, it's still, it's actually pretty wet. So what do? We don't have patience. Here we go. Sorry for the noise. Really dry. Here we go. Okay, that's not dry. That's pretty dry. before I get that one, while this one is still wet, I am going to pick up, I think, some of these. I'm going to get my larger brush, my angled brush here, and pick up so I can get kind of a little natural look there, and pick up some of the pigment and some of the, so we get some of the natural looking veins there, shadows, folds, and still doesn't have any definition, but have no fear, we're not done yet, it will come. And I have a couple handy tools in my pocket that I can use to lighten this up. There we go. There we go. And this is all really just playing, practice, playing, practice, playing. Don't take it too seriously, which is kind of hard to do sometimes. I have probably the big sheet of what I do is with the Arches paper, Arches watercolor hot press. I have a big sheet of paper and I cut it up into little pieces and just practice. Like here's one little piece. And I just end up practicing. I kind of like what's happening right now. It's kind of getting really abstract-y and watercolor looking. So I'm going to leave it like that. And for the edges, we can always, I'm going to get the pink water. Can always soften the edges. Do something like that. Okay, when that dries, I'm going to get the definition of the petals. And I'm going to get the center, and that will pull it all together for sure. I definitely like the center now. The pink has toned down big time. So I'm gonna just leave it like that, let it dry because it will dry a lot lighter. There. And we're gonna go to this guy. So I'm gonna switch over to my little brush again, my little rigger, they're called. And let's do the green. I want to get the green in here. I wanted this area to dry. Yeah, it's good. It's dry, so I can get the base of the bud here. That will do a lot for it. Kind of pull it together. And I'm going to go with my permanent sap green mixed in with a touch of yellow, a little Hansa yellow. I can't really see where I put the water. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, there. And okay, this stem is for this guy. So let's make this stem a little bit more of an angle. So I'll pull this up. And then have the stem like that. Some kind of curve. Otherwise it looks too boring, straight. Let's give it like a little curve. Okay. There we go. So I'm using the pink water. Kind of looks cool. We got to get this stem in with this guy. Finish that guy up. Okay, I'm going to take my little yellowy green. While it's still wet, we got to do these pointy things, spindly things. And if anybody's still watching, I appreciate it. Thank you. Another cool thing, I think I already said, but I like to do charging with is the neutral tint, but instead of mixing it with the color, especially with green, is just tap it on there and let it just kind of do its thing, and you get really nice shadow. So like I could do a nice shadow on that side of the stem. Pick some of this up here. There we go. Just get some definition. That's really all it takes, and it takes layers to do that. And there's kind of a cool spindly thing popping out over here. So I'll just do like a little suggestion. Maybe a spindly thing here. Again, next time for live, I will for sure put up the reference photo or my original photo. One more thing before I move on to this guy, and we kind of do something with this guy looking decent, is I'm going to add a little more. I'm going to do the gouache, white gouache, and I'm going to hit this guy again for the definition, although it's probably going to go into the green, but I'm going to get it up here. Let's see how that gouache really absorbed into the paper. I put a lot on there, and it just, as soon as I hit it with the blow dryer, it just absorbed. So I'm not really too afraid of it as far as like making a mistake or anything like that, because it really just absorbs right away. And I'm going to use the pink water here. Remember I was saying I was trying to get like the overlap look of the petal. There's a petal here that this one is overlapping the one that's under here, so I was trying to kind of get that effect, but that's something you can do when you add colored pencils. So this is probably going a little long. I don't know if I'll get to the colored pencil part here, but there, I just wanted to make a little definition of a petal there. And I think what I'll do is add, when it dries, I can add a little more. I can add some more lines, and then here's like another one. So here's the petal under here. So if it were to go out, I go this way. So we can kind of make another one, but very light. Very light. There, just a suggestion of another petal. I love these peonies. Oh, wait. Yeah, no, these are Cosmos. Okay. Oh my gosh, is anybody still with me? Okay. I hope you, hope you're hanging in there. All right, so let's attack this big guy here. What I'm gonna do is get the green, the stem in, because I need the visual, and I need the contrast of it being pulled together. I really need to get it pulled together, so I am gonna just get this green. Just gonna do that, so I have something. And I'm going to grab that neutral tint, put that in there, because that gives it a little contrast too. I'm just going to leave that. Whoop. Dropped a, okay, that's okay, I'll just leave it. My brush, a little drop on my brush, and it dropped on the flower, and that's kind of normal, that happens a lot. Okay, what I'm going to do now is get my small brush, again, rigger, whatever they're called, and I'm going to get my or did I say this was quinacridone purple? And I'm going to hit it with a little bit of the neutral tint to knock it down a notch and give it like a smoky purpley look. And then I add water. And I'm going to get the outlines, and then I'm going to do the center, the yellow. So let's get outline here. And I'm just kind of following somewhat of the reference photo. I'm not really going exact. And I really just want to go and do a suggestion. That's really what I'm kind of going for. So let's do, I'm trying to paint so my whole arm isn't in the camera view. Alrighty, let's just do a few there, and then this guy goes in there. This guy goes there. This guy goes there. And I didn't even ask you how the sound is. Maybe you can't even hear me. I don't know. But I'm using this this new microphone. Well, it's like a little camera that is I'm using for my palette has a mic in it. So it's really nice because it's right by me, right by my head. So when I was testing it, it sounded really good. But you know, as soon as you go live, who knows what happens, right? Who knows? It's getting a little busy. It's getting a little busy. Okay, I mean, again, I'm trying to, let's see, there we go. Don't overthink it. I gotta tell myself that all the time. Don't overthink it. Just do it. Just do it. Don't overthink it. Okay. And voila. What? This guy has kind of a cool... So this is where, let me see, this petal goes like that, and then like that, and then like that. All right. Kind of got a little crazy over here. I don't know what happened. So I'm just gonna add a little water, turn it down. And then I'll show you my handy trick for lightening up. If you don't like something, you want to lighten it up. Okay, see how that white absorbed the gouache? I feel like he needs a tiny little bit of definition, so I'm just gonna do this. There. Like the smallest little bit. Because this is kind of more of a delicate style, loose. There. More pronounced for sure. And I'm going to get a little water in there for the yellow. This is a cadmium yellow. I'm going to hit it with that. Cadmium is a pretty bright yellow. It's too much water. I want to almost pure pigment, like hardly any water. There we go. I'm just gonna dot, 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 and leave a lot of space in between, but don't make all the dots the same size. Okay. Well, it's kind of like some are like uber small, but they make a difference. And then I don't want it, it's not a perfect circle. It's almost, it's kind of a triangle actually. Everything's about shapes is what I'm learning in art. Okay, so while those little yellow things are still wet, I'm going to go in there and charge with, I'm going to do that brown. Brown or the green gold, or not the green gold, the yellow gold. I think I'll go in with, no, I'm going to go in with that brown. It's the brown matter. Like the tiniest little bit, just for a little contrast, for little stamen things. Kind of pulls it all together. Well, it pulls the center, the stamen together. Okay, definitely darker over here underneath for the shadow. So I'm gonna do there. Okay. Get a little definition in there so it doesn't look cartoony. It's looking a little cartoony right now to me. Okay. Now, if you're hanging out to wait for that trick, I'll show you right now. These brushes, anybody watching still? These are the scrubber brushes from Creative Mark. They're not expensive at all. I think they come in a packet. This is, again, cold pressed watercolor paper, so it's pretty tough. It's 140 pounds, so it's like it's that. There is thicker, which is nice because it doesn't warp as much. Like I actually did stretch this paper, and you can see it's still warped. Stretching is when you do what you add, you coat it with water first, let it dry. Maybe you even stack like books on top of it, so it lays flat. Then when you add water to it and you do your painting, it should be straight like that, right? So this is not watercolor. This is Bristol. So, but I did not do it. Usually you want to stack it overnight with books on it and let it dry. Anyway, I don't know how I got into that. But this is, I'm going to use, I think, well, we'll use a smaller one. So you wet this. It's just really coarse bristles. So you wet it, and then we're going to just create some depth here. So this petal we want to define a little bit. And your paper really should be damp, not super wet, not dry, because then you're going to scrub. And your scrubber has to be dry. I'm sorry, oh my gosh. Your scrubber has to be wet, not dry. And you'll be surprised at how much you can pick up. I mean, just to make some cool highlights. This guy. Right? And because you don't want to ruin your brushes. You don't want to kind of keep going over. If you're trying to lighten up an area, you don't want to keep going over and over it with your brush. You don't want to ruin your brushes. So you use a little scrubber. Okay. It's getting a little contrast there. So these are just different styles, that's all, of what you can do with your watercolor. You can go really, really loose, wet on wet. You can go a little bit more definition with using the outside, painting outside with your rigger, with your smaller brush. Okay, this guy. And then this guy's kind of right in the middle of the two. So that's kind of what I was going for. I hope you got something out of it. I'm going to probably just keep working here. And so, let me see. Okay, I think we need to do something with the background. What I did here, I added a blue. I think I might have went overboard on it. So I'm going to do just a little bit because I think the contrast of the blue looks kind of nice with this pink and the, you know, the violet. So I'm using a two, just like a smaller brush. I'm gonna do this phthalo turquoise is kind of really nice. It's strong. Okay, picking that up. I have my pink water, so it's mixing with the pink water, which is okay. And I could even make like maybe like little, I think I'll mix it with a neutral tint and just kind of make little, so it's not so blue. There. I'm probably going to add a little gouache to this guy. I know, I probably should be overworking this one, but I should probably just leave it. If anybody's there, let me know what to do. Should I work this guy a little bit more? I almost kind of feel like he needs to pick up. These are great brushes too. This Rosemary company. This is actually really good for picking up paint and blending. They're pretty tough. But, okay, there we go. And there. Always gotta kind of hold it up and look at it from a distance. Let me zoom out a little bit. Look at it from a distance. This guy is just way too strong for me. Way too, I don't know. There's no, in the reference photo, it's a lot lighter on the edges here, and I just feel like I made them too dark. So I'm gonna lighten up the edges. It's okay. It's not gonna be ruined because, I don't know, it's art. Okay, I kind of like that better already. See, now these are a little strong. It was just too strong. It was just too... Not every petal was kind of the same... what am I saying? Value. So I don't really like that. And let's just do like a touch of green back here because cut up all this. Say there's some plants and trees, maybe even some more spindly things. I don't know, whatever those things were. Okay. There, getting there. It's getting there. I'm gonna grab some white gouache. And let's see what happens there. There's like this one streak in here that in the reference photo, it looks really good. So it's like a lot of times I think, you know, you gotta loosen up when you get so tight. At least for me, it's like when nothing happens. Kind of the cool stuff happens when you're loosened up. Okay. Well, we made some flowers. Hopefully you're kind of joining along with me. Or I mean painting along with me. Let's get... And this guy lost his stem. Find his stem. Make some more spindly things. Oh, I was gonna add some yellow, that's right, up in here. It's good and dry now. So, you know what this needs? It needs a red. Oh my god. Being an artist is just so difficult, isn't it? Okay. This one's bugging me. It's too pink and purple. I feel like it's, maybe I saw the Barbie commercial the other day. It's like reminding me too much of Barbie. There we go. Voila. I don't care what that looks like. It was reminding me too much of Barbie, so anything to get rid of the Barbie reminder. I don't care what it looks like now. There we go. Much better. That's too pink. I guess they are pink flowers. I decided to draw. Alright. Oh my god, if anybody's watching, I'd be like shocked right now. Anybody that's not my family. Okay. Looks kind of cool. Okay. I'm doing the yellow in this guy. I want to get just like the type. Remember I said I was gonna, I'll zoom back in. Remember I said I was gonna just try to get a little more yellow in there. Where's the new gambage? There's a yellow new gambage. No, that's not. It's too gold. Okay, I did the tiniest little bit of yellow with a little bit of the gouache white. That's not gonna be. This is the Hansa yellow, which is kind of a really light yellow. And just a tiny little bit there, not too much. There. I just want to get some definition of these guys. Some highlights so they're not just like a blob. I don't like blobs. And the blobs loud. Okay. There. That could work. Get a little yellow under this guy. He doesn't have any kind of definition. Actually, he would probably... There's like a tiny little shadow under here. We'll get that. And then a darker green. So I'm going to go with... I'm going to go with a little hooker's green and the sap green for that dark spindly thing. There. There. I definitely like the Barbie flower a lot better. It looks way better. All right. One more thing and then I'm going to call it quits here. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still with me, for sticking through it. I do want to do these more regularly. I usually have, Saturdays and Sundays kind of as my little drawing time, painting time. So it'd be nice to have some company. So maybe next time, say hi to me in the chats. Let's just do a little yellow splash. I'm getting stuffy. I need to get some fresh air here. And I'll definitely work on the lighting next time. I'm not sure the lighting is the best. I'm going to do a little yellow splash down here, brighten her up. There we go. There. Okay, everybody. Thanks again for watching. That was really fun. I have some other flowers that I did already. Maybe will sometime during the week, maybe I'll do an impromptu live again during the week with these other flowers that I did. They are more of poppies. And I thought I had them around, I would show you, but so here we are. This is going to dry about, like I said, 50% lighter. And I think I'll like it. And I'll probably mess with it a little bit more. But in the meantime, it's going to have to do. Kind of like that. Okay. All right, that's it. I'm going to leave it alone and see what it looks like when it dries. So thank you, everybody. I will, please like, follow my channel, all that good stuff. And if you are watching, I have a feeling I know who you are. And thank you. I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.